I spend half my life shouting at my smart speaker, and it still doesn't know which room I'm in. It reacts, but it doesn't think. It all feels pretty dull.
It's the classic smart home problem, isn't it? Right now, most systems are essentially just remote controls with voice commands.
Exactly. Today we're looking at something that claims to, well, flip that script. I've been digging through a stack of technical documentation, API references, and some architectural papers for HomeGenie Server 2.0. It promises something called Agentic AI at the edge.
And that agentic part is the key differentiator here. We aren't talking about a cloud-based assistant that sends your voice to a server farm.
Right.
We are looking at a system that evolves from just a simple command responder into an autonomous coordinator. It reasons, it suggests, it acts.
And it does all of this offline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get into the weeds then. I saw this term Lailama all over the docs.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just their fancy branding for like a chatbot?
Not exactly, no. Lailama is the neural core. Think of it as the engine room. It's what runs these highly compressed AI models locally on your hardware.
Compressed, meaning I don't need a massive server rack to run it.
Right. It brings that generative intelligence down to consumer-level devices. But, having a brain is useless if it can't control the body. That's where the Fluent API bus comes in.
That sounds a bit like marketing fluff. What does it actually do?
It's a translator, really. You give a command in plain English, and this layer maps that intent to actual machine code. It translates make it cozy into specific protocol commands for your lights or your thermostat.
So it's bridging the gap between, hey, chat with me, and actually turn on the Zigbee switch.
Precisely. It controls what they call the hybrid execution layer, so it's managing physical devices and digital scripts at the same time.
But here's where I get a little skeptical. How is this different from standard automation? I can already program, if there's motion, turn on the light.
And that is the fundamental difference between automation and agency. Old automation is, if X, then do Y. It's rigid. Agentic AI is goal-oriented. You just say, I want this outcome, and the AI figures out the steps to get there.
So it's not following a pre-written script, it's deciding the script on the fly.
Exactly. And it uses a context engine to do it. Standard LLMs hallucinate because they live in a vacuum. HomeGenie gets a live briefing on your home's state weather, power consumption, sensor readings before it acts.
There's that one example in the notes about setting a light to a random color.
Right. Set the light to a random color, but make sure it's different from the last one.
Okay, that sounds simple, but
it's deceptively complex. To do that, the AI has to analyze the current state, apply logic to pick a new color that isn't the current one, and then execute the command.
it has to check its work first.
Standard automation just can't do that. But if
Yeah.
it's constantly checking context and remembering history, doesn't it get bogged down?
That's a good question. Does it get slow?
That's why they use memory pruning. If you have a long conversation, the system automatically resets the history after a set number of turns.
So it forgets the flush to stay fast.
Exactly. It prevents what they call context bloat, so the system doesn't get stuck processing old, irrelevant data.
So the software keeps itself lean. Does the hardware and the whole architecture follow that same philosophy?
It does. The philosophy is everything is a module. Whether it's a light bulb, a sensor, or the Lailama neural core itself, the system treats them all as interchangeable blocks.
Which I assume is a huge deal for security.
Huge. They built what they call a privacy isolation wall. Since it's modular and local, the system operates in an untrusted zone regarding the public cloud. Your home's logic never leaves the house.
Okay, now what if I want to tinker? Is this a black box product where I'm locked out, or can I get under the hood?
It's surprisingly open. You can edit automation programs in C# directly inside the dashboard's integrated code editor. You can even build your own custom widgets using standard stuff like HTML and CSS.
So I don't need to learn some weird proprietary language. And to run all this, you said it's efficient, but are we talking about a high-end gaming PC?
Not at all. Standard CPUs work fine. For the smaller models, you might only need, say, 4 to 8 gigs of RAM. If you have an old laptop or a mini PC in a drawer, you're probably good to go.
So let's step back for a second. We're really moving from a smart home that just listens to this self-contained instrument where you, the user, are actually shaping the intelligence.
It completely changes the relationship. You stop being just a user and you start becoming a developer of your own environment. The home becomes an extension of your own logic.
Which raises a pretty wild question to leave you with. If your home is fully local, context-aware, and capable of reasoning, are you just configuring devices anymore? Or are you actually programming a roommate?